Claude Jacobs died this morning. We share his legacy in the Crossroads. Victoria police take 38-year-old Aaron Guzman into custody after he tried running away from officers late Sunday night. And the latest in the Murdaugh double murder trial, a defense witness testifies the probability of 2 shooters.
All right, here's what's going on. We warmed into the mid-80s. We're pretty much going to stay in the low to mid-80s for much of the week, with lows only about 55 to 67 degrees. But later in the week, we are going to see a cool down.
And it's a rematch of last season's playoff game between Edna and Cole. We'll have the latest in sports.
You're watching 25 News Now at 10. Good evening and thank you for joining us for 25 News Now at 10. I'm Don Brubaker. Karina Garcia is on assignment. Claude Jacobs, one of the most well-known, well-respected, and well-loved people in the Crossroads, died Monday morning. Jacobs, a native of Yoakum and University of Texas graduate, was an associate at Lodestone Financial Services in Victoria. He worked in the financial services industry for over 45 years. Jacobs was one of the founders of the Bluebonnet Youth Ranch, 4 miles south of Yoakum, in 1972. He was the last living person from the ranch's original board of directors. The Bluebonnet Youth Ranch has taken care of over 600 children in its now 50-plus years. Jacob started the annual Bluebonnet Youth Ranch Celebrity Golf Tournament that brought in stars from sports and music, and it has raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for the ranch. Shortly after UHV announced it was starting an athletics program, Claude and Mary Virginia Jacobs started an endowment fund for the program. When Claude passed away, the UHV Claude Jacobs Invitational Golf Tournament was being played at Victoria Country Club and at the club at Colony Creek, which Jacobs became part owner of in 2012. Jacobs also donated time and money to several other charitable organizations, including the Boy Scouts, Troop 110 of Victoria. We talked with some of local people whose lives were touched by Claude Jacobs.
But the countless lives that were touched by him and Mary Virginia's generosity and their involvement, more so than even the generosity. They were involved in so much. And if there's anything, it's going to take a lot of people to step up and replace the efforts that one man in Claude Jacobs was doing in this community, because he did a lot, and a lot that maybe people don't even realize.
He put his heart into everything and was a man that just constantly gave back to the people around him, and he's going to be greatly missed, not only by the staff and the owners here at the club at Colony Creek, but by many, many people in.
Memorial services for Claude Jacobs are still pending. Victoria police taking 38-year-old Aaron Guzman into custody after trying to run away from officers late Sunday night. Guzman was pulled over on the 5100 block of Houston Highway. He ran away from officers before they and K-9 officer Lark detained him in a nearby field. Guzman was also found to have a methamphetamine pipe, crack cocaine, Xanax, and other pills. Guzman faces 3 charges. Tomorrow, the Supreme Court is set to hear oral arguments in 2 cases challenging President Biden's policy to forgive federal student loan debt for millions of borrowers. The program was central to Biden's presidential campaign, but was held up by judges in lower courts.
A core campaign promise of President Biden now under pressure.
Our student loan program is designed to give just a little more breathing room.
But is that program legal? The Supreme Court now poised to hear oral arguments beginning Tuesday. Biden's federal student loan forgiveness plan would cancel up to $20,000 for some borrowers earning less than $125,000 per year, or households with less than $250,000 in income per year. Across the country, the financial futures of 43 million borrowers now hang in the balance. ABC's Devin Dwyer asking one borrower,
why is it that you think that the government should pick up that tab?
I think that everyone has a right to say how their taxes are being spent. I feel like taxes are for the greater good, and this is for the greater good.
The High Court taking up two separate lawsuits filed by two borrowers and a group of 6 Republican-led states, arguing the president's plan is an illegal abuse of power and is unfair to some borrowers.
People knew what they were doing when they signed it, and they should pay it off.
But the administration argues the president has the authority to carry out his campaign promise, using executive authority under the pandemic emergency. The latest Quinnipiac poll shows a majority of Americans back Biden's loan forgiveness plan. Roughly 1 in 6 adults carry some federal student debt. 26 million borrowers have already applied for debt relief. 16 million were approved for cancellation. And the High Court's decision could hinge on the state of Missouri, home to the nation's largest student loan servicer. Attorneys have argued Biden's plan could reduce that servicer's revenue and eventually jeopardize state funding for Missouri's public colleges and universities. Justin Finch, ABC News, Washington.
Let's take a first look at your forecast with First Warn Storm Team meteorologist Howie Gordon. Howie?
All right, here's what's going on. We warmed into the mid-80s. We're pretty much going to stay in the low to mid-80s for much of the week, with lows only about 55 to 67 degrees. But later in the week, we are going to see a cool down. Now, as our winds calm down, that's right, the fog is coming out to play. Visibility's getting taken down to a quarter of a mile or less. In some spots, can linger around for a while as well until about 10 in the morning. So 67 overnight, still looking at that fog that's going to linger. We're going to talk about more about the fog, but we're also going to talk about our cool down coming up soon.
Howie, thank you. More than 3 weeks since the toxic train derailment in eastern Ohio. The EPA says the shipment of contaminated waste has restarted to approved sites. This as the Ohio EPA begins monitoring groundwater at the scene of the accident and in the surrounding area for contamination.
Critical efforts to ship contaminated waste out of the impacted areas from this toxic train derailment site in East Palestine, Ohio, are underway. The EPA figuring out where to offload tons of water and soil.
We have identified EPA certified facilities that will be able to accept at least some of these wastes.
Some of the 1.8 million gallons of liquid waste are heading to northern Ohio, while loads of solid waste will travel about 20 miles south of the crash site. This comes after officials in Michigan refused to accept shipments of contaminants, and Texas said it would not take any more. Concern about water quality still remains as locals stock up on bottled water and free home filters provided. The Ohio's EPA has also installed up to 3 water monitoring wells out of an abundance of caution at the crash site to determine if the groundwater there is contaminated. ABC's Alex Perche speaking with environmental advocate Aaron Brockovich about the need for water testing for potentially decades.
This begins a huge water issue. We've seen it play itself out over and over and over again.
The White House is directing multiple agencies to continue door-to-door check-ins on families, even after public officials declared the water safe. Uncertainty in the community lingers.
There have been no exceedances for residential air quality standards, and outdoor air quality remains normal.
Federal and Ohio government leaders are hosting daily media briefings to address questions and even share updates on their recovery efforts. Melissa Dunn, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Alex Murdaugh's defense in his double murder trial rested its case today after calling 13 witnesses. Today's testimony was headlined by an expert in crime scene reconstruction and blood spatter analysis. He testified the evidence suggests 2 shooters carried out the killings. He noted Paul was shot by a shotgun and Margaret was shot by a blackout rifle.
To me, there's structurally difficult for the same shooter to have 2 long arms and no practical reason for that to happen. Add that to what I believe happened to the shooter who fired first with the shotgun, and I think it tips in favor of the probability of 2 shooters.
He also determined Paul's shooting came first and was from such close range. The shooter would have been temporarily stunned by the explosive violence. Alex Murdaugh has pleaded not guilty to 2 counts of murder and 2 weapons charges in the fatal shootings. A task force looking into the teacher shortage in Texas is recommending lawmakers increase salaries, improve training, and commit to respecting teachers' time. Here's your viewer poll. Scan that QR code on your screen to vote. Here's the question. What is the biggest contributor to teacher shortages? Not enough pay, not enough training, not enough time. Let's look at the numbers. 89% of the voters say not enough pay. 8% say not enough training. 3% say not enough time. We thank you for voting. We want to hear from you. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part. All month, we've recognized Black History Month. We want to end with a 25 News Now Extra on a family with a ranch in Gonzales County. 25 News Now Sunrise anchor Carolina Astrain met with the family to learn more about their legacy.
The ranch has been in the family since the 1940s. That's when Mac Bonds purchased the property. Mac was born in 1890 and was a sharecropper.
I'm grateful for my grandfather for what he did. Because of him, he purchased the property way back in the 40s, and then he inherited down to my dad, and my dad gave it to us. And since we've been here, we've been able to work it and to keep it. It means a lot because I know my grandfather worked hard to get it.
His son, Freddie Mason Bond Sr., went on to become a decorated war veteran and also raised cattle and grew produce out on the family ranch. He left his part of the property to his 12 children. Tim Bonds, the youngest of 12, now manages the cattle on the family ranch.
What I say to others, if your parents or grandparents left you something, that's basically all they can do is, in a legacy, is leave you something. So if they leave you something, just try to hold on to it as long as you can and continue to pass it on down to the next generation.
The ranch is split up between family heirs, some parts used for relaxation, others using the land to grow vegetation. Wanda Bond says everything they know about growing they learned from their father.
That's in our DNA. Our dad taught us when we were little how to plant and how to manage the soil and different things like that.
It's a tradition and education they are passing down to the next generation.
It has to exceed what we have done. Every time a generation comes, they have to exceed what the prior generation done because they have more technology, more knowledge on how things are. So I'm expecting great things from them. I want them to exceed our expectations on everything that we do out here,
Something bigger than what we have now. Something bigger, maybe more cattle, more stuff dealing around ranching and stuff like that. Hard work do pay off.
While there is plenty of ranch work to be done, it's also a place of peace.
I have my own little space. I have a travel trailer where I come out of here and just relax and just enjoy nature, and it feels wonderful.
With this 25 News Now Extra, I'm Carolina Astrain, KAVU TV.
Stay with us. Coming up on 25 News Now at 10. A U.S. citizen was killed in violence near Jericho. Also ahead, nearly 24 people in New York City have had their Apple AirPod Max headphones stolen.
Every day we help kids navigate the realities of the world and make healthy, lifelong choices. Kids learn about alcohol, tobacco, and drugs in lots of ways, often from friends and siblings. While kids may hear lots of harmful information, parents do play a huge role in helping them make the right decision. Talking to your child, sitting down to a family meal at night just to discuss how their day went, or encouraging extracurricular activities can make all the difference.
This is Ford Truck Month, Texas. Time to get up and get into Ford F-Series, America's best-selling trucks for 46 years straight, including Ford F-150 and the all-new Ford Super Duty. Or check out Ford Maverick and Ford Ranger. So get into Ford Truck Month, Texas, and see what a built Ford Tough truck can do for you. There's a great selection in stock. Drive Ford F-150 with 0.9% for 60 months, 0 down, and 0 payments for 90 days, plus complimentary maintenance.
Hello, neighbor. Before you buy a home,
before you sell a home,
before you make any home improvements, call USA Foundation Repair.
A thorough and honest inspection is what you get from USA Foundation Repair.
We work with realtors and contractors on the front line every day doing inspections and repairs. Don't get taken to the train station. Get the USA Foundation Repair brand of approval. Call us today for an honest inspection.
To make a lot of money.
You sublet your apartment to Mr. Lippman for how much rent? $1,000.
A little dishonesty.
And you know that that's illegal to do that. Why did you do something that was illegal?
And evicting him didn't help.
You didn't go quietly, so she filed a restraining order against you.
Yes, Your Honor. That was the only reason the police was called, because he became aggressive. I never called them before then.
What you told the police was a lie.
Next, Judge Judy.
Congressman Joaquin Castro revealing Monday he successfully underwent surgery to remove what is called gastrointestinal neuroendocrine tumors at MD Anderson Cancer Center in Houston. The Democrat from San Antonio said doctors discovered these small, slow-growing tumors last summer after a series of tests. Castro said in a statement, quote, "My prognosis is good," unquote. He's currently at home recovering. The U.S. is condemning an attack near the West Bank city of Jericho, killing an American citizen. Authorities say a suspected Palestinian gunman drove up to the man's car and shot him. He later died at the hospital. The attackers then set their own vehicle on fire and fled the scene. The shooting comes a day after two Israeli brothers were killed in escalating violence near Nablus. This is the latest wave of violence to rock Israel and the West Bank.
The United States is extremely concerned by the events of this weekend and the continuing violence in Israel and the West Bank. As we noted yesterday, we condemn the horrific killing of two Israeli brothers near Nablus and the killing today of an Israeli near Jericho, who we understand was also an American citizen. We express our deepest condolences to all of the victims' families and their loved ones.
More troops to the northern West Bank to restore calm after Sunday's violence. There's troubling new information on the number of pregnant or recently pregnant women who died after the onset of the pandemic. Here's the latest.
Death rates for pregnant and recently pregnant women in the U.S. rose dramatically in 2020 compared to the year before. That's according to a study led by researchers at the University of Texas at San Antonio. The mortality rate for non-medical and non-pregnancy related causes jumped 36%. Pregnancy-related causes went up 22%. The researchers point to multiple factors, including an increase in mental health troubles during the pandemic. The study also found significant increases in deaths from drugs, car crashes, and homicides. There are also clear racial gaps in the death rates. Compared to white women, death rates were 3 to 5 times higher for American Indians or Alaska Native women. Black women were also at higher risk of dying from homicides than other racial groups. These are concerning trends that highlight the need for better follow-up care, monitoring, and advocacy for pregnant people, and particularly for minority groups in the U.S. With this Medical Minute, I'm Faith Abube, ABC News.
24 people in New York City have reportedly had noise-canceling headphones stolen. The NYPD Crime Stoppers unit released photos and videos of what they suspect is a roving team of thieves using mopeds to approach people wearing Apple AirPods Max headphones and steal them. The headphones, which cost over $500, cancel all noise, so victims don't hear the thieves as they approach. Students at NYU are told to turn off the noise cancellation feature as they walk around campus.
You just gotta keep your eyes open. I mean, you can turn the the noise canceling off.
Police continue to search for the thieves.
As our winds weaken, that fog is going to move inland. We're going to talk all about it coming up straight ahead.
Victoria All Sports, South Texas's largest family-owned sporting goods store. Having served Victoria and surrounding counties since 1971, we're proud to continue to meet your firearms, hunting, fishing, camping, and outdoor apparel needs. Our friendly and knowledgeable outdoor experts can help you pick the perfect equipment for your next outdoor excursion, and that our in-house gunsmith services are available long after your purchase. Come get geared up at Victoria Allsport, located at 1902 Houston Highway, right here in Victoria.
At a time when misinformation is all too common on social media, we take great pride in bringing you the news that matters, that impacts your family, news you can trust. Local broadcast journalists bring you the facts, covering the stories breaking in our community and across the globe. Text TV to 52886 and let Congress know you depend on local journalism. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Go faster on Optimum Internet with 99.9% reliability. Get 300 meg internet for as low as $30 a month with no annual contract, and equipment is included for whole home Wi-Fi coverage. Plus, Optimum has faster download speeds than AT&T nationwide. Get award-winning 300 meg internet for $30 a month with Optimum Mobile for as low as $15 a month. Call 8669-OPTIMUM, go to Optimum.com, or visit your local store today. Get closer, go farther with Optimum.
Movies are dreams that you never forget.
This is larger than any of us.
In the tradition of Monk and Columbo, meet Will Trent.
Seemed like a great guy to me.
The investigation is on.
We are solving this thing. Always.
New Will Trent, Tuesday on ABC.
Tuesday, Garcelle Bouvet. That's my girl. Garcelle once double booked a date while seeing Eddie Murphy. They both showed up at her house. See, that's why you're not supposed to tell men where you live.
All right, we're starting off in Cuero. Here is what we have going on. We had some early cloud cover from that boundary pushing through, but then as it cleared the area, the cool, dry sinking air moved in. Yes, we saw some sunshine, but we still saw that warm air pushing in from the Gulf. Either way, a combination of the sun and that warm air took us up to 85 degrees today, more than 10 degrees above average. We've been as high as 91 back in 1954, so another warm, toasty, I was going to say Thursday, February here in the Crossroads. All right, here's what we got going on. So as those winds start to lessen, that's right, that fog is moving inland, really taking visibilities down. Here we go, a quarter of a mile or less in some spots, and that looks to last until maybe 9:30, 10:30 in the morning. So yes, looking at a foggy start to the day, so you want to drive it on the safe side and on the slow side. All right, here's a look at our temps. We warmed into the mid-80s. We're going to pretty much stay low to mid-80s right through Thursday. Overnight lows only dropping down to 55 to 65, depending upon how close or far away from the water you are. But see this right here? This might be our high on Friday, after that boundary pushes through the area. So yeah, we're looking at a cool down after many days warming into the 80s. All right, here's our dew points. That boundary's coming through and knocking down our dew point temperatures. It's going to be short-lived, though, because what's going to happen is that cold front is going to turn into a warm front, come back up with that warm moisture. And yeah, the dew points, the relative humidities, the moisture levels will start to go on the up and up once again. Here's our winds. They've calmed down. And with these lighter winds, as that boundary pushes through, yeah, that's going to allow for the fog to move into the area. Here's that boundary once again I'm talking about. Here, I told you, it zeroes back as a warm front, bringing some warm moisture into the area. Wants to bring showers, but there's some opposing forces pushing down a lid on the atmosphere, if you will, that might prevent those showers from taking place. But we'll keep that warm air moving in from the Gulf. We'll stay on that warmer side, but then a boundary pushes in from the northwest, bringing that cool, dry, sinking air into the area. We're going to go on Thursday from the mid-80s to Friday into just the mid-60s for high temperatures. But it will be short-lived. I'll show you that in a second. But here's that warm front moving back in, maybe bringing us some light showers here and there. But that warm air continues to push in from the Gulf, really right through Thursday until that boundary pushes through and changes directions and brings that cool, dry air in to the area on Friday. Here's our marine forecast. Here's what we have. With seas only at 2 to 3 feet, that's going to keep our bays on the smooth side. So 67 overnight. Mostly cloudy, looking at that patchy fog, and then for tomorrow, a high of 81. Remember, a foggy start early on in the morning till that fog starts to lift. Here's what we have, though. in the 80s Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe a 20-30% chance of showers with that boundary. But look at that, 83 to 64. But then, hey, we warm back up into the 70s and the 80s later on in the week. For more weather news and sports, you can go to our app. That's at crossroadstoday.com, and that is free with any Android and iPhone.
And the Edna Cowboys are in round 3 of the playoffs. We hear from a couple of the leaders after the break.
The Nave Museum's current exhibit is a retrospective of Nancy Bandy's life and art. Primarily a landscape artist, her works in pastel and oil use glorious color to capture the majesty and splendor of big Texas skyscapes. Also featured are portraits and street photography by local artist Danny Vivian, which capture the emotions and personalities of the people he photographs. Open through April 2nd, this is an exhibit not to be missed. Proudly sponsored by the Victoria Television Group.
For months we've been saying that Fred Loya can save you more money on your car insurance, but just how much more? In recent months, people who switch from Geico and Progressive to Fred Loya Insurance have saved over $1,500 a year. State Farm customers who switched to Fred Loya saved over $1,600 a year. Allstate customers saved over $1,100 a year. That's a combined savings of over $240,000 a year. So start paying less. Call or visit fredloya.com. If you don't call, you don't save.
When it comes from McAdams, it shows you care. The freshest flowers, the prettiest plants, balloons and gift baskets too. If beautifully unique is what you seek, making lasting impressions is what we do. Always the very best value for you. When it comes from McAdams, it shows you care.
At Ventura's Tamales, we wake up early every morning to bring you fresh quality artisan food made with the same touch as your grandmother would at home. From corn to masa, masa to tamale, then steamer to plate, we utilize the freshest ingredients to ensure flavor with every bite. So what are you waiting for? Dine-in, drive-thru, pick up or curbside. Artisan quality tamales at Ventura's Tamales in Victoria. View our menu online at venturastamales.com. Unwrap the flavor.
Next, Kelly, who's ready for the Renaissance?
I'm ready, Kelly!
From The Whale, Oscar nominee Brendan Fraser. We knew it was going to happen. So how did you find out you were nominated?
There was a knock at the door. I mean, my kids were there with balloons, and they had a Carvel ice cream cake.
Oh my God, I will cry right now.
It was Fudgy the Whale.
Oh, ice cream cakes are good.
Oh, yes.
Plus, Jenny Slate.
Howdy, Crossroads. The Edna Cowboys are making history on both the football field and the hardwood. Edna is in the third round of playoffs for the first time in over a decade. It has been 13 years since the boys in blue have made it this far, and this time it will be against what the Edna head basketball coach is calling the standard of South Texas basketball in the Cole Cougars. Cole has made it to the state title game the past 2 seasons, including knocking Edna out of the playoffs last season. But Coach Sheldon Moore is hoping this time will be different.
It's a new year, it's a new team. They're a different team, we're a different team. Obviously, for the guys that played last year, I mean, it's kind of hard to forget how your season ended. If you want to know how good you are, you put Cole on the schedule and go find out.
Moore went on to say this is a great opportunity to find out how good they really are. Edna senior basketball star Kevin Robinson has played a vital role in how the Edna Cowboys have done this season, and he knows how tough the Cougars are since being in the losing playoff game last season. Robinson said the Cougars have 15 losses on the season, so he knows that they are beatable. If the Cowboys want to have a chance in the game, Edna is going to have to make free throws and rebound.
Last year, we played them second round. They're lights out again. They're a student team. We feel very confident. If we can speed them up, trap them, speed them up, and make them feel comfortable, I feel very confident that we will come out victorious.
The two teams will face off tomorrow in Cuero at the Roost. Tip-off is at 8 o'clock. The Victoria East baseball team is on fire and won the championship over the weekend. The Victoria East Titans competed in the Navarro Classic and keeping its record with a perfect 4-0. The Titans went through Aikens, Lufkin, and Navarro to win the title. In the last game against the hosts, it did not look good for the Titans as they were down 2-0 heading into the final inning. East lit up the scoreboard, though, scoring 5 runs in the last inning. Navarro did fight back and scored 1 more, but it wasn't enough. East would win 5-3 and will now play Moody tomorrow night at Riverside Stadium. The MLB has implemented a new pitch clock along with banning the shift and installing bigger bases. In spring training, many have expressed either love or hate for the new pitch count rule, which allows 15 seconds for the pitcher to pitch. The rule was implemented to help shorten game times, which are at an all-time high of 3 hours and 11 minutes on average. Even though we are in the early stages of the year, the Houston Astros games have been significantly shorter with the MLB average. The Astros game today was 2 hours and 19 minutes long, and the game before that was 2 hours and 6 minutes. Overall, the average spring game time is down 23 minutes with the new pitch clock. And lastly, Don, your Houston Cougars are yet again #1. How about them Cougs, Don?
Love it, Gino. 49 first-place votes in the AP poll this week, and they are, by the way, undefeated on the road this year. All right, Gino, thank you, and stay with us. Coming up on 25 News Now at 10, we'll take a last look at your weather, plus people gather in Georgia to remember the life of Ahmaud Arbery.
Are you ready to stop letting big business take your customers away? Phase 3 Digital is your #1 digital marketing resource to keep your customers shopping with you. With an office right here in the Crossroads and a team of support across the nation, we can help you wherever your business is in the online journey. From building a site to developing e-commerce capabilities to growing your customer base, we will drive results. It is time to take the next step in growing your business with Phase 3 Digital. Are you ready to take your customers back? Give us a call or visit us online to get started.
This is Ford Truck Month, Texas. Time to get up and get into Ford F-150, part of F-Series, America's best-selling trucks for 46 years straight. All amped up and ready for work or play. Plus, there's a great selection in stock and ready for delivery today. So get into Ford Truck Month, Texas, and see what a built Ford Tough truck can do for you. Drive Ford F-150 with 0.9% for 60 months, 0 down, and 0 payments for 90 days, plus complimentary maintenance.
My hair was falling out.
I technically overdosed without even knowing it.
I've probably eaten over like 1,000 pounds of raw meat.
That's ground beef in an ice cream cone. There's risk for E. coli, salmonella.
You claim to have helped your clients cure cancer, diabetes.
It's all about declogging.
That's absolutely not true. New Dr. Phil.
People in Liberty County, Georgia gathered over the weekend to remember the life of Ahmaud Arbery. Arbery was murdered on February 23rd in 2020 while out for a run in Glenn County. Participants walked and ran 2.23 miles to mark the date of his death, and to think about change. Organizers stressed the importance of making sure Arbery's legacy is remembered.
We want everybody to come together as one. And we're not just talking about black folks, we're talking about everybody.
They said they want next year's walk to be even bigger, and like you just heard, that everyone is invited. Thousands of teddy bears and other stuffed toys were thrown onto the pitch Sunday during a soccer match in Istanbul, Turkey. The gesture was a symbol of solidarity with the children affected by the devastating earthquakes in Turkey earlier this month. The earthquake first struck Turkey on February 6th. More than 13 million people were affected. The death toll from the earthquakes in Turkey and Syria reaching over 50,000. And now we go to your First Warn Storm Team meteorologist Howie Gordon for your last look. Howie?
All right, now winds are weakening. Moisture is going to move in, that warmer air over the cooler ocean pushing inland. That's right, we're looking at that fog that's going to really limit and impact our visibility. It's getting taken down to a quarter of a mile or less in some spots and looks to linger on until maybe 9:30, 10:30 in the morning. So overnight, 67, we'll see some of that fog. Then tomorrow, though, after the early fog, 81 under partly sunny skies. Looking ahead, we stay in the 80s, but look what happens on Thursday. A boundary comes in, it knocks our temperatures down into the mid-60s, but then we warm back up.
And finally tonight, more than 100 T-Rexes, raced on the beach in southwestern Japan over the weekend, if T-Rexes can race. And there they go, they're off. 146 inflatable dinosaurs competed for first place. Similar races take place all over Japan. It was the first time this peculiar race took place in the Kochi Prefecture. Look at those. Oh, there we have a winner. The event organizers said they were pleased to see the participants enjoy the game as many public events were canceled due to the pandemic. We know that very well. All right. Thank you so much for joining us for 25 News Now at 10. Remember, we're streaming 24/7 Crossroads Today Plus. Join Carolina Astrain and meteorologist Trey Mining for 25 News Now Sunrise starting at 5 a.m. Good night, everybody.